Afternoon, everyone, and welcome to KindWorks. We are making our second stop around the world today on our World Tour 2023, and we've got Kind Chef Shubhra Sinha taking us to India, and we're cooking Mulligatawny soup with her today. So I'm really excited to introduce you to her. I'm actually cooking in her kitchen with her today, so I'm very excited to be here. And Shubhra, take it away.
Thank you so much, Deb. This is exciting, ladies. We are in Virginia and so excited to have Deb with me today. As you may have read online, Mulligatawny is an Indian soup, but it was sort of co-opted by the British teams to appeal to them. Can you hear me fine?
Thumbs up if you can hear Shubhra. Yes.
Can you hear me? Actually, there's a feedback. I think maybe from
we got
Deb's
some thumbs
unit.
up. Thank you, Sarah.
I think maybe Deb, you can mute yourself over there. Okay, how about now? No echo?
Better, thanks.
Good, excellent. So, like all things Indian, we had the British Raj for many, many hundreds of years. And Mulligatawny is actually a variation of a soup called, or a dish called rasam, which really is a very, very thin, very spicy, clear liquid almost, with some lentils in it. And it's called, originally a variation of that is called Mulligatawny, meaning pepper, which is Mulliga, and Tanir means water, so pepper water. And the Britishers loved it, and they took it and added stuff to it to make it more robust. And it became Mulligatawny. And you must have heard a few other things like chutney, which is an Indian thing, an Indian word. You must have heard khichdi. I don't know if any of you have heard of khichdi. That's also an Indian word, an Indian food. Co-opted have become very global in their appeal. Of course, curry. So I'm going to start today I hope all of you have finished prepping. I have a bunch of stuff here. I have my onions all chopped. I have my ginger and garlic set to go. I have my carrots and celery chopped. I haven't done the apples yet because they will turn brown. Didn't want them to oxidize. So dear Deb has agreed to be my sous chef. Thank you. So she'll be doing the peeling and of the apples when we're ready. So what I want to start with is, you got your cups of lentil already? And what we want to do is, let's wash the lentils first and just soak them in water. It doesn't matter how much water, but it'll help them cook faster if we just wash them first and soak them. So let's do that first.
Shubhra, while you're doing that, I have a question. I think I heard you say Britishers.
Yes.
I didn't realize that's how they're called.
Oh, you don't call them British?
British, the British, we would say.
Oh.
I like that.
Yes. Okay, while we're doing this, I'll tell you some funny words. So there are certain things that have become co-opted in the Indian English language. And it's so funny because they don't appear in the dictionary, but we're so used to saying them that we just assume it is an actual word. So for example, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you. I think you'll have to turn it around. There we go. Perfect. So for example, everyone postpones a meeting, right? So if you want to move it later, you say, I need to postpone a meeting. Well, a lot of Indians prepone meetings. If you move them earlier, you want to them. If you can postpone, why can't you prepone something? And people don't realize that there's no such word in the English dictionary called prepone.
Right.
And so I mentioned it once when I was first in this country, maybe 20 years ago, 22 years ago, mentioned it once, and someone said, what is prepone? I said, well, isn't prepone making it earlier? He says, no, I know postpone, and then you reschedule it. I said, oh. They said, well, but if you want to do it right now, let's pone a meeting. I thought that was funny. So since then, I haven't used the word prepone, but we can always start a new trend.
Or college.
Yes, or phone. Yes, exactly.
We wash
them 2 different times until we get most of the white out. So I don't know if everyone else is also doing the same thing. So I'm really rinsing them, washing them, rubbing them with my fingers. See, there's the white liquid on top. Make sure that you get
And is that really
water
only
out.
just so that it cooks in less time, or is it also taking some stuff out of those lentils that you want out?
So I would have definitely washed them before I put them in, but washing them and soaking them makes them cook faster. But we always wash our lentils, wash our rice before we start making them. It just helps get rid of some of the starch, so it just is a healthier way. And this is it. I'm just done with washing them. So I will just add some water and leave it to soak. That's it. Cool. Perfect. So thank you so much. And here's my big stock container, the pan that I'm going to use for all my cooking. I have already my 3/4 cup of vegetable oil in here. So you can go ahead and add, I'm going to hold that. Let me hold that so they can see this. So I have my oil in here. I've just turned on the heat to get it to a little bit of simmering.
Shubhra,
And then,
may I ask a question?
yes.
Hi, how are
Yes.
you?
Hi.
I have a quick question. If you don't want to use vegetable oil, would you use canola, or would you use olive, or would you use grapeseed?
So I normally use olive oil.
Olive oil. Okay.
Most of the time for all my cooking, or you can use sunflower oil, you get that, or canola oil. Both of those are okay. All three of those are okay. Most Indians cook with either vegetable oil, peanut oil, or sunflower oil.
Oh.
And canola, one of those four. But I'm lazy, so I just have olive oil that I use for many things. So I just keep that one oil here.
But if I had all of those, I mean, if I had canola and I have olive, which would you use for this recipe?
Use canola oil simply because it's healthy.
Canola.
I don't think it makes that much of difference to the taste.
Okay.
Because I think the taste of the oil will get overpowered anyway by all the onions and garlic and ginger and everything else that we're going to add. Okay, first steps first. Let's add our onions to the oil. Thank you. Let's see. Yep, I hear a little sizzle. This is a good thing. Thank you, Deb. Not only are you a great sous chef, you're a great camera person.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Is anybody making vegetarian tonight?
Even if they aren't, it's perfectly fine. Just skip the chicken. If you want, instead of chicken, you can add soy granules, or you can just add things like spinach.
So I was gonna add cauliflower because I looked it up beforehand and I saw cauliflower, but I just don't know when to put it in. Do you?
Yes. So you should wait until you finish browning after you added the lentils and the chicken, let it cook a little bit, and then you add the cauliflower. You don't want it overcooked.
Thank you.
Okay. Yep. And now adding a little bit of salt. Sorry, should have taken my salt out first. With the onions, and let them saute for about 6 to 8 minutes.
Can I throw that here?
Yes.
Look at this. Isn't that gorgeous?
Okay. I'm just going to follow the recipe step by step. So if you have that printed out, you could just do the same. Because everyone's gas, or I have an induction cooktop, it just cooks differently at different times. Oh, no. But I thought about, maybe you could have stuck it over there. Yeah, you can smell it already here. Perfect. It's so funny that this is a British recipe and a British soup. Most Indians won't make this at home.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Even though it's Indian spices.
Yes, Indian spices, and it's originated originally from The root of an
Britishers
Indian,
took it.
it's the Britishers. You got it. The Britishers took it. Any other questions? No? So far, so good? Excellent. I think my onions look semi-translucent, a little bit done. I'm going to add my ginger and garlic to it. There's a lot of ginger and a lot of garlic. I just chop them up.
So when you chose the red onion, what's the difference? I made mine with white onion. And tell me how you consider the difference in powder.
So I think red onions are less pungent and sweeter. So I like the fact that you can get the taste and the aroma of the onions without a bit overpowering the soup. My preference.
Yeah.
But it's actually yellow onions are more pungent, but I'm not sure about the white onion.
Oh, I meant yellow.
Okay, cool. So to this, I'm just going to now get my cumin seeds ready for adding to this. And Deb is going to start doing my apples. Here, you want to peel it? You want to peel it? I have a peeler too. Somewhere. No, it's in here. There we go.
Thank you.
Apologies for coming in
Smells
late.
so
I
good.
was
How
on
are
the
you guys
phone.
doing?
Hi there. Just apologies for coming in late. I just added, I saw you put in the ginger and the garlic. I was on the phone with my husband who is in Tokyo, but I said, I'm sorry, I've got to go now. It's time to put in the ginger and the garlic. So
I'm glad you have your priorities right.
don't tell him that.
Yes, I have ginger and garlic in here, waiting to finish sauteing them. Just a little bit. I have my temperature set to relatively high, so it doesn't have to be on a medium flame. I'm impatient. It looks really good. Okay, ready to add the cumin seed? I got cumin. I'm putting in a teaspoon and a half or two, either way. And I let the cumin seeds sort of add their aroma to this before I add anything else. Okay. I realized I have not opened my box of curry powder. I just went to the Indian store and got curry powder, but you could pick it up from anywhere. So again, another thing that Indians don't use. We never use curry powder. We just put the different ingredients in separately.
Well, I have the impression that curry powders are very different from each other.
What is sold as curry powder in the stores over here is pretty much standard. It's a mix of everything. Garam masala, which you might have seen, is curry powder minus quite a few of the spices. Garam masala is more the aromatic spices, not the heat. Doesn't have turmeric and things like that. Doesn't have cayenne. It has more of the cardamom and cloves and some cinnamon, things like that. Cumin, but not the spicy elements. That's all curry powder. And curry powder is normally used more in Western cooking. Indians just, you must have seen most Indians have a little round box with these little compartments. And those compartments have the standard things. It has cumin, it has salt, it has turmeric, red chili powder or cayenne pepper, it has coriander, ground coriander, and it has some level of what we call dry mango powder. It has a bit of a acidity to it. And almost everything we make has some combination of these. Some things have more curry coriander, some things have less coriander, but that we throw those in just according to what we feel that day. Okay, I think my onion, garlic, and cumin looks relatively done. Where's my phone? Here. This is what it looks like. Yeah. Okay. So I'm
You
going.
can't show them what it smells.
I wish. I know. I need a smellophone soon.
Yeah, probably.
Thank you so much for doing that, Desh. Okay, next I'm going to stir in turmeric, curry powder, cayenne, and cook that until that sort of releases its oils and smells, aromas. Okay. In goes my turmeric. Putting in my turmeric.
They do like your apple chunks.
Small is good, but maybe you do one and I'll tell you. You do one of the slices and I'll tell you whether it's too small or too. Okay. 3 teaspoons of turmeric. And then 3 teaspoons of curry powder. Where's my teaspoon here? Here we go. Where's my curry powder? 1, 2, 3, and 1 for the. Ah, smells so good. How are you guys doing? Smells good? Cool. And a little bit of cayenne. So this you can decide how much you want to add. I don't want to add too much. I don't like it very hot from a spicy hot perspective. Okay. All this gets put together. Oh, that smells good, doesn't it? I'm going to reduce the heat a little bit now and add in the next step, which is I think my carrot, celery, apple. And here we go. Carrots and celery. There we go. Oh, that smells good. Yeah. Perfect. Excellent. Actually, Deb had an interesting question. For the chicken, you could actually use minced chicken or even sausage out of the casing. That also works very well with this. Or as I said, for vegetarian, I don't know if you get it in Whole Foods or in Indian grocery stores, we get soy granules. They're called Nutrella, and they're basically dry soy. And when you add them to this, and when you add the liquid, it sort of poofs up a little bit. Rehydrates. It's very much like a minced chicken kind of texture.
That sounds pretty good. Sarah, have you ever tried the dehydrated stuff?
Soy granules. I'll try and see if I can take a picture and send you guys as a follow-up, and then you can sort of replace that with everything else. This looks great. I'm ready for my apples. Should I help you just do this? This is the fastest way to do the apples.
Sure.
Then you can cut them. Oh, see. Here we go. That's one.
Oh, that does cut it nicely.
Yeah, and quick. Perfect. Here we go. And the last one. Perfect. There we go. Thanks so much. All done. Perfect. Thank you. This looks good. So now I have my flame on medium so that my spices are not burning now. So how does it look? It smells good in your kitchens? Excellent. I have my tomato paste ready and my flour ready for the next step. Yes. Perfect. You know what? Why don't you join me here? We're going to do this together. You'll see how Indians cut things. It scares a lot of people, but we're so used to
Oh, I'm
doing this.
excited.
Okay, so let's do this. So you can continue cutting as you want, and I'm going to take my own this thing. This is what we do. We pick up 4 or 5 of these together and just go directly in there.
Love it.
Everything like ginger, garlic, onions, everything we just cut like this directly. Potatoes, peel them and just cut them directly into the pot. It looks good. So Deb had a question. I know Indians don't have a word for the ginger, garlic, and onions that we put for everything. I know the French have this celery, onion, and carrot. They call it mirepoix, if I'm not mistaken. Is there a word for Spanish? For the carrot, peppers, and
Onion,
celery?
pepper,
Onion, pepper, and carrots. Onion,
Uh.
pepper, and celery. Everyone's on mute. You on mute, Joyce?
And I think in Chinese
her.
cooking, the ginger and garlic are referred to generally as the aromatics.
Ah, see, Deb was a fast learner. She's doing it right the way I did. Oh,
I always want to
you're half Indian now. Oh, perfect. This looks so good, like a lot. Isn't that convenient?
Yeah.
Did you ever do that
Do it at
before?
home, but
Oh,
I
you
wouldn't have
do?
done it in your house.
Oh, yeah. So I thought this was an Indian thing. Maybe it isn't. Okay, this looks good. I'm going to turn up the heat a slight bit, not too much. And I'm ready to put in my tomato paste. How are you guys doing? Ready? Okay, cool. Here's my tomato paste, and here is my tablespoon. 6 tablespoons.
I have to admit, I just used the whole little thing
Yeah.
yesterday.
I'm just, because I'm the
You're teaching.
host.
You're gonna-
I told her I never follow recipes. I'm just being a good girl today.
She's-
1, 2. If it is less or more, it doesn't matter. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's true. But no, always use it 4. Actually, it's exactly 6 spoons in this one. It's perfect. I got all of it, and it was 6 tablespoons. Okay. The last few bits, and I'm going to use my very clean finger. I used it, cleaned it before. I washed my hand.
She licked them clean.
Before or after I picked up my cat.
Exactly.
It's got no fur on it, promise. Okay, that looks good. And I'll wash my hands after this. Come on. It's almost cooked. Your soup's faster normally. Okay. How are we doing? Mix the whole thing up. We have the temperature slightly higher, which is good. And now I'm going to add all my flour to this. And we have to stir really well while we do this. Put it in batches, little batches, and then stir. Thank you. Okay, then a little bit more. This is really to thicken the soup. I'm sure all of you know that. This looks good. And we just have to cook it down so it doesn't have its floury smell or taste to it. And that's it.
Lisa, how did yours come out?
It came out wonderfully, and the house smells like heavenly. Just all the warm flavors, the scents of the spices. It's a winner.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yesterday was so dark and rainy. I cooked mine yesterday. Loved it.
It's perfect weather for soups, right? For hot, spicy soups. Actually, that's so true. Okay, mine looks like it's sort of getting there. Looks good. I am going to, next step is I think to put in the chicken and the dal before I put the,
I think your chicken's
is right here. So I already chopped my chicken in bite-sized pieces, yes, and Deb will get rid of all the water in my lentils. I actually do it in steps. I want to add the chicken first. Stir it around a bit before I add the lentils. Let the chicken sort of get coated really well. So I can hold this. Just using my hands. Indians use their hands for a lot. I will promise I will wash my hands after I do the chicken. And the interesting thing is, if it attaches a little bit to the bottom, that is a good thing because it sort of gives it a nice aroma, but don't let it burn. Adding the chicken and the little water, that is what the chicken should help. Let me wash my hands now. Okay. Thank you, Deb. Excellent. Go for it. Madam Deb. Can you smell it attaching to the bottom?
Oh, it smells so
Yeah.
good. It's okay that some of it might be
Chicken, yeah.
because you're gonna.
I like, yeah, I like it to stick a little bit. When you put the lentil in, it has a little bit of water in it. No, a little bit. It's not absolutely dry. So it's perfectly fine if it sticks a little bit. We're ready to put in the lentils. Thank you, Deb.
all or
Yes,
just
all of it. Just put it in. Yeah, perfect. Excellent. If it's sticking too much to the bottom, add a tiny bit of water to get it off the bottom of the pan. This smells so good. Mine has come off the bottom. There's nothing sticking any longer here.
I have a
Flip it off
question
if you
about
want.
the apples.
Yes.
Would that have been, is that kind of a modern addition to
No.
this dish? Or traditional?
Mulligatawny is known for its Granny Smith apples with the lentils and chicken. It's sort of a standard thing in the Mulligatawny soup.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, sure. So Deb is doing the very good job of making sure there's no tomato paste stuck to the bottom of the can. So she rinsed it out with a little bit of water and added it in my container, my pot here. And I have a tiny bit of water at the bottom of the pot. I'm just stirring around the chicken and the lentils. And I think they're ready to just go ahead, add in the broth. Supposed to lightly salt this again. So I'm going to add a tiny bit of salt, although I did add some salt to the beginning. And the stock also has salt, remember that? Although I did buy the low sodium stock. Thank you, Deb. Sure, go for it. So I counted that 18 cups of broth is five cans, five containers, five things, so it should be good, approximately. Yeah, perfect. So I'm going to stir, mix it all in. Should be okay. We'll find out if we run out of space in this thing after adding the five, but I think we should be just about okay.
Lisa, mine made a ton of soup. Did yours? How much soup did you make yesterday when you made yours?
I made it today. Finished up a little after 5, so it's still cooling in the pot. But
Oh, okay.
But was it a lot, quantity-wise?
Yes, because I used 2 pots and it was, fortunately, I used 2 pots.
Okay. I think I have a large enough pot. We should be okay over here.
Okay. This is only the 3rd out of 5.
Yeah, it should be good. There's enough space here. That's great. Perfect. Get any lumps out because you had flour in here? So make sure that the lentils are not sticking together in a lumpy mess inside this. Okay. Just about. Very nice. I know my stuff. Make sure when you're stirring this, there's nothing stuck at the bottom. You don't want that to burn. That's
You
it.
really only need half of this one.
Okay, let's do that.
Half.
Yeah. Actually, that much is enough. This is a lot of soup
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah.
I'm gonna put this in your fridge.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm going to just go in and make sure there are no lumps of flour. Looks good, and I want to make sure I feel one space where it might be sticking a little bit. So I want to make sure I get it all off the bottom. No sticky bits. Looks good. The color is just right. Beautiful with the cayenne and the turmeric. And this is it. We cover it and cook it for 10 minutes. So we have to first get it to a boil. So I would like to make sure that I increase this. I have something called a speed boost on my induction, but you can amp up your this thing to get it to a boil. Make sure there's nothing sticking at the bottom. You definitely don't want that burnt taste. Yep, looks good. Chicken looks good, and it feels nice and smooth at the bottom. Perfect. And that is all the apples floating to the top, and they will get nice and mushy. You know what? Who wanted to add the cauliflower? Sarah, did you already add the cauliflower? I would have done that before adding the stock. If you haven't added them, you can add the cauliflower now.
So I added them when you put the chicken in. I thought that's what you said to do.
No worries, it's fine. Just I would have let the lentil cook a little bit. It's okay. It'll be a nice texture. It'll be fine.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. I would have waited just maybe 2 or 3 minutes. That's it. Not
Okay.
not that much of a difference.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, I'm going to actually, even though there's raw chicken in here, I'm going to take a spoon and taste it just for the. Oh, when does my? Oh, the coconut milk is right at the end with the lime. Okay, I'm going to taste a little bit just to make sure the salt is okay. I think it could use a tiny bit more salt.
You're gonna do it now?
Yes. I like it to be, so I'm just putting maybe 1.5 teaspoons more. And I do this, it's not normal, but I normally put in a teaspoon of sugar in everything I make. I think it enhances the flavor of the tomatoes and tomato sauce that you put in. So I put in just 1 teaspoon of sugar. I have brown sugar, you can use any kind. And we should be good. As soon as it comes to a boil, I will lower the temperature to medium, let it simmer for 10 minutes. I don't know about you guys. Do you have your glasses of wine? Deb and I were having some chai. And mine has gone cold. I'm going to microwave mine.
Oh,
Are you done with yours? Okay, you want to go first? Okay.
I don't know. Can we go together?
It will take longer. Go for it.
Okay.
Let's do 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So, tell us a little bit about India while we're waiting for the boil.
Absolutely. So, India, as everyone knows, is a relatively large country. Maybe I'm trying to remember, I don't know my geography stats as well. But it has obviously the second largest from a population perspective. The major metros, Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, all of those cities have, or the metro areas have 20 million people or more. So I think Delhi is closer to 25, if I'm not mistaken. Same thing with Bombay. Some of the other metros may be smaller. But it has an interesting aspect. A lot of people don't realize this, is India is very regional. It has a number of states. It used to be 25 states when I was in the country, but since I left in 1996, which was almost 30 years ago, the government has created more states, so divided some of the larger states into smaller states. Each state has its own state language. So there are more than 25 national languages in India. And not only that, each state also has sub-languages. So there are 72 plus languages spoken in the country, and they are not very similar. So Northern India, we have Bengali, we have Hindi. Hindi and Urdu are the two languages spoken in my state, which is Uttar Pradesh, which is where the Taj Mahal is. And I can hear this boiling a bit. I'm going to stir it so it doesn't stick to the bottom. It hasn't come to a boil yet, but I can hear it getting there. And so, and then, for example, there's Punjabi, there's Marathi. These are all have the same script, have a few words that are common, but very different enunciations. So it's difficult if someone's talking fast, naturally, it's difficult to really grasp what they're saying. So I can't understand what another person from Bombay is saying if they're speaking in their local language. When it comes to South India, there are languages called Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, which have their own script. So even the script is very different. Those are some of the oldest languages in the world. And not only this, so that's one thing. Second thing is culturally, each of these states and regions within states have their own food and food styles. So for example, in North India, we have a lot more wheat. So we have these breads we call roti or naan and stuff like that. And most of the main food is wheat, but then most homes also have rice, plain basmati rice, most of the time with the curries. So we would have at lunch, my parents would have 2 rotis, which are the thin tortilla kind of things. And then they would have maybe a small cupful of rice to go with the dal, which is the lentil and the curry. In South India, there's less wheat and almost all is rice and lentil based. So there would be a lot of idlis, which are the fluffy little pancakes. There's dosas, which a lot of people might know, like crepes, savory crepes. My soup is coming to a boil. So I'm going to lower the heat and then cover it for 10 minutes. Alexa, set a 10-minute timer. Okay.
I've been replaced by a machine.
That's so much.
Sorry, Alexa.
Okay, so this has to cook on a medium heat to maintain the simmer and for 10 minutes. So we were talking about the food. So in Western India and in South India, there's more mustard seeds used. And actually, let me show you. These are mustard seeds. This is what used most in Western and South India, and maybe in Eastern India, in the Calcutta region. North Indians use a lot more of cumin. Okay, so we use cumin.
So the original recipe from the New York Times, I think, had mustard seeds.
Had
and
mustard
you took
seeds
it out.
also. I took it out because people would go out and buy mustard seeds, and then they would have it at home and not use it. So I just thought that it's something that adds a tiny bit of flavor, but doesn't really make that much of a difference. And I'm going to show Deb one more thing.
Okay.
There's something in South India and Western India called curry leaf.
Yes.
Okay, have you ever smelled that?
No, I'd love to.
Okay, let me show you what a curry tree is. This, can you see this? This is my curry leaf tree. It's a curry tree. Growing at home, most South Indians' homes would have this. And I'm going to tell Deb to break one and smell this.
It's nutty. Not at all what I would have thought. Can I eat it?
Yes, but mostly used in the beginning. When you put oil, you put the mustard seeds.
Mhm.
When they start crackling, you add these. And then it gives such a strong, beautiful aroma. And that's when you add the potatoes or something else. So this is a
Fantastic.
curry tree.
So when we go to the,
Actually, I'm going to chop. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask, so when I've seen recipes that call for curry leaves, I've had to go to the Guru market and buy them frozen. And I'm guessing they're not nearly as, or maybe they're fresh, but not like picking from your own little plant in your kitchen.
Yes. So they're probably fresh. They wouldn't come
Yeah.
frozen. If you're buying them frozen, they're probably dried.
No, they were fresh,
dehydrated,
but
and
not, yeah.
not fresh off the tree. What I can do is, I don't know, you guys live near Deb, right? A lot of you are in Bethesda and Rockville. I'm going to chop this down. So I'm going to give you many branches so you can hand them out tomorrow, day after.
Is so
And
awesome.
and I'll give you a simple recipe for potatoes to make with this. And it turns out
I'm
so
so
good.
excited.
All
Thank
that you need is cumin seeds, because you don't have mustard seeds. Cumin seeds, curry leaf, salt, and turmeric. That's it. Nothing else needed in that. So this is it. We have to wait for 10 minutes until my cute little this thing over there, ALX, EA. I'm not going to say the word, otherwise she'll wake up. And so we're going to sit down and enjoy our cup of tea. Should we come back when she calls us? Okay. I'm
And
going.
we can talk.
Yeah, I can turn this around. Oh, okay. You want to go to the living room? We can hear her there. I can turn on some lights.
Can I ask you another question while you're walking?
Yes.
I love mulligatawny.
Please do.
I'm crazy about it. And I have a recipe that I've been making for years that is different than this recipe. So I wanted to see if you could tell us about mulligatawny. Like, are there a lot of variations, or is the one that I have uses ham and potatoes and mushrooms in addition to everything you have here, no apples. And you said that was a key ingredient. So I'm wondering, like, what?
So the original mulligatawny that was co-opted by the British, not the Indian version. The British version doesn't have chicken. It has lentils, it has onion, carrots, celery, and the apples and the spices, basically. Okay. So that's typical. And you would have it either plain as a soup, or you could add a little bit of rice to it and have it with the rice. But mulligatawny is really a mixture of things. So it's up to you. You can add whatever you want to it. There's no limit. You can add mushrooms, you can add chicken, you can add tofu, you can add cauliflower, you can skip the lentils, you can put in corn. Sometimes you can make it with sweet corn, put a can of sweet corn. So it just has to do with the curry powder, onions, ginger, garlic.
I see, the base.
Everything else is up to you.
Okay.
That will make it Indian.
Well, I can't wait to try this because I like that it's different. I'm really anxious to try this because I like it so much, and it's different than the one I have. So I'm curious to try it and see how it tastes comparatively. It's a lot of the same things. It's just like you said, it's the add-ins that are different.
Exactly. And also the other thing that is almost always there is the coconut milk.
What?
So curry powder, onion, ginger, garlic, coconut milk. If you have these three things, everything else is up to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Make sense? Cool.
Which leads us to a conversation that Shubhra and I were having at the beginning of the cooking today.
How about I do this? Hold on. Let me turn this around so they can see both of us.
Let's tell them about our exciting plan to do the refrigerator soup.
Yes. Raid your fridge.
Raid your fridge soup. We're going to do one day when we don't have an international chef planned. And how do you do it? So
I never follow recipes. I had to look up the mulligatawny recipe. I chose the one from New York Times because I felt that was the closest to what I knew of mulligatawny. And so that's what we're doing. Yeah. I was telling Deb that I am known for a no recipe chef. And I had a friend who was visiting, and she is a healthy eater. So I didn't want to make the typical rice and lentil or the Western bread and other things for her. So I made a soup for her, which she said I would have never thought of this. I added lentils. I put in a can of sweet corn. I added milk and chicken stock. That was the base. To that, I added Swiss chard, collard greens, mushrooms, broccoli, and peanuts. And that was my soup. And she didn't need anything else. It's a one-pot meal, and she loved it. So I do that. And so what I'm going to do, what I suggested to Deb, is it's called Raid Your Fridge. So I will I will tell you the few basics: onion, ginger, garlic, a packet of what I call tomato soup base, and maybe some stock. And then we will let everyone, it will be a very noisy session because everyone will have to tell us what they see in their fridge. And you raid your fridge, you raid your freezer, and you raid your
Pantry,
cans, your pantry, and then everyone comes up with a different soup on that day, and then you can tell us what you
And
thought.
will you provide any guidance or whatever? Like if I come up with, oh, what about these English muffins? Can I throw those in there, or will you say to me,
I will. I
will.
will give you ideas. So if you have an air fryer, I would tell you to cut the onion muffins and toast them, and then you can put them on
keep
as
them on the
croutons.
side? Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I'm here to answer questions, and I would guide.
Uh-huh.
I would definitely guide, and I would tell you when to add what so that it doesn't get all mushy. But then you do your own soup.
I think that sounds so fun. Let's turn this around and see if we're seeing thumbs up or
Yeah.
gallery
the
view. How do we
gallery
do
view.
that? This way?
Does anybody watch the show Chopped on the Cooking Channel?
Is it like
anyone
that,
ever seen
Kelly?
that?
Do they do the
Yeah, it's hilarious. We used to watch it with our kids. I was trying to get them interested in cooking. So the whole premise of the show is that there are three actual chefs. They're like well-known chefs, and I guess they have an audition protocol that gets them into the show. They're presented with three courses, one at a time, and it's a basket. So they walk to their table, their station. They open up the basket, and in the basket is all of these bizarre ingredients that make no sense.
Yes.
It'll be like pickled pig's feet, black licorice, gizzards, and chocolate marshmallows,
and
Fruit Loops.
Fruits you've never heard of, and things that if you don't prepare them properly could be poisonous.
Right, and you have they have to take those things and they have to make something. So the first course, second course, and third course, all three would be different baskets, different ingredients, and they can add to it from their huge kitchen and pantry anything they want, but they have to come up with a dish, and then the judges eat it and judge it.
Yep. I have seen that there's only one slight difference. Everyone has the same ingredients. You can choose some or more of them, and you make your own thing. But what we're talking about is completely different. Whatever is in your fridge. If you want to make an omelet and chop that out and put that into your soup, you can do that too.
This will be great because my husband and daughter are both at home, always buy bags of corn. And I am so tired of having frozen corn filling up my freezer. So I'm going to be adding soup to my
here's Alexa. And that's Damini. Hello, Damini. Okay, Alexa tells me it's 10 minutes. How are you guys doing with time? Alexa, stop.
Yeah. So I have a question. Just at the last minute presentation, since I'm into presentation, is there something green that we could dribble on top?
Yes, absolutely. I actually was going to tell you guys, I have cilantro, and cilantro is something that a lot of people don't necessarily like, but adding cilantro to the top as a garnish is, especially because you've got the lime juice, and I think just a little bit of cilantro, and if you have the thicker version of the coconut milk, giving a little swirl, like a cream swirl, with a little bit of cilantro, I think will look very nice.
Okay, thank you.
You can also do one more thing, which is called tempering. Indians do tempering all the time, especially when they make lentils, they temper it. Tempering is when you take any kind of oil. Most Indians use ghee, which is clarified butter. South Indians use sesame oil for that. But you take literally 1 tablespoon, put in either cumin or mustard seeds or a combination. Add in, up to you. If you're North Indian, you would add in tiny chopped onions and garlic and tomatoes and some cilantro, and just let it simmer, let the onions soften, and then you present it on top of your soup. You add it to the top, you temper it with that. For South Indians, they would do the same thing. They take a little bit of sesame oil, add, I realized my back was for you guys, sorry. Add mustard seeds, a little bit of lentils. They use lentils in the tempering also. They use garbanzo beans, lentil, and then they add curry leaves to that and a little bit of turmeric. And then you add that to the top. So it brings a beautiful aroma and it adds to the beauty of whatever you're serving.
Thank you. My husband grew
Uh-huh.
up in Andhra, so I will try to incorporate that.
Joyce, say that again. I think I was speaking over you. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I just said my husband grew up in Andhra. So,
Oh, Andhra Pradesh, very nice.
yeah, right. So I will incorporate that. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And he probably, you know exactly what tempering is then.
Mm. Mm.
And Shubhra, there's a question in the chat from Salma, and she wants to know, what is the secret to growing a curry leaf plant? Hers died.
Don't overwater it. Let it be outside in the sun during summer, and keep it in a sunny spot if it's inside. But the biggest thing is don't overwater it. And in spring, if you have something like mine, I will cut it down to really removing everything that has leaves on it, and it will then come back up to really this thing. But a basic thing, it needs sun, it needs watering, but not overwatering. Okay, this smells great. I see the lentils are almost done. I think we're just waiting for the chicken to be cooked. And it looks like it's getting there. Oh, I forgot to time it. We are supposed to cook for another 15 to 20 minutes. I'm going to put, Alexa, set a 15-minute timer. Yeah, and that's it. This is a long.
No, it's just 5. You know what? Everyone's going to be almost done, but we're not going to stay on the whole time unless you guys want to. If we're 15 minutes from now, we'll be 10 minutes late if we stay on, or does everybody feel pretty confident and we'll just talk for another 5 or so minutes and then let everyone finish up on their own? How's everyone? Give me a thumbs up. Finish up on your own. Everyone's good? Okay. So we've got Shubhra for about 5-6 more minutes. And we can learn more about Indian cuisine and culture. We can plan. Don't cheat and go out and like stock up on the Raid Your Fridge soup, okay? You got to just go with what you have when you have it. I'm not sure when we're going to do it, but if we have a break in our international chefs, we'll do it that week. Shubhra is game to play whatever we are, so that's pretty exciting. Marge, I'm so tempted to tell you that you should really try this soup. It was so good. I don't know why. I really had no, like when she said mulligatawny, I was like, oh, okay. I don't know that I have no reason why I would have a bad attitude about it. I had no experience with it in my past, but I have to tell you, it's absolutely delicious, Marge. I've gone wrong
funny.
to tell you.
I have a couple of comments. First of all, I thought of mulligatawny as an Irish soup because I've seen it as an Irish soup. And that explains, I think it was Kelly who was speaking about the potato. Sorry, I'm making noise. Give me a moment. But last one. Sorry, I'm back. I had such a crazy day. I had a crazy weekend. I'm in total recovery, as many of you know. My dog died a week ago, and then my battery died the following Friday. I'm like, I can't wait to see what's going to happen this Friday. Yeah, so it's just been one thing after another, and I just didn't have all the ingredients. And I thought, you know what, instead of making myself crazy and I went to physical therapy today, I have one more thing that I have to do. I said, you know, I've got this cauliflower in my refrigerator that I have to use. So I made a cauliflower broccoli cheese soup. I mean, I agree, the soup looked good. I was tempted. I just had too much else going on, and that's why hey, the cauliflower is gone now. So I'm happy about that. Thank you. I do need to know who's showing up tomorrow. Lisa, Joyce? Lisa's yes. Joyce will probably show up late, so her soup goes in the following week. Anyone else showing up? Kelly, are you coming, or Betsy? No one? Okay. Okay.
All right, we're good. Let's
Okay,
go back to Shubhra, but she's got something going on.
So I was just going to say that, hey, as we wind up, the biggest thing is once you've seen the chicken is cooked, just stir in the coconut milk. And I actually would squeeze lime in your bowl of soup when you're eating it, lime and cilantro based on your own choices. So don't add it to the big pot right here, right at the end. So it's more like to taste, but definitely add the coconut milk. So that's all that is left to this.
Although, because many people will be packaging up their soup to donate, I think they
that's
will
right.
have to put the lime in.
Yep. So you turn off the gas or your stove once it's cooked. You've got the coconut milk in. Turn it off. Then, when you're ready to pour it out into your containers, that's when you add the lime. Don't cook the lime in this. That's the only suggestion I have.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Any other questions? Do you guys want to hang out while I wait until we add the coconut, or you can say goodbye and enjoy your soup?
I think everybody's good.
I really
But
enjoyed
can we
how-
talk a little more?
So I enjoyed how you explained why you put the foods in certain sequences with the flour, and kind of making sure that things were not getting gloppy. So I really, rather than throwing everything in, which is my habit, thank you so much for that guidance. It was really helpful.
Happy to help.
I know we end up learning a little bit every single week, right? And so we should be great cooks by now.
Yeah. Actually, so let me just quickly continue with the stories about India.
Yes, please.
So we spoke about languages. We spoke about food. My family is, especially my mom, she's a musicologist. So I grew up with Indian classical music and dance. There are two classical music forms in India, the North Indian called Hindustani and the South Indian called Carnatic, which are based on the same 12 notes, the same scales, but it's much, much more complicated. It's very mathematical, lots and lots of permutation combinations, lots of frameworks that you stay within it, but then you go extempore. So you have a framework, you have a raga that has, say, in a scale, you would say that I have 6 notes ascending, 7 notes descending scale, and 2 of those notes are flat, or one of them is sharp, right? And you would always stick to that combination of notes
within that piece
of music, but then you would go extempore, do everything that you want to do. That's one. So that's classical music. India has 9 different forms of Indian classical dance. And one of them, actually, I'll tell you, she is a goddess on stage, much older now, but she is, I think, one of the best dancers of Indian classical dance across all the 9 genres.
Who is?
And she's performing at Kennedy Center in April. Her name is Malvika Sarukai.
Road trip, who's in?
I will send you a link. She is amazing. You will love it. And it's like seeing the art from the temples on stage, right? So that's the second thing I wanted you to know, that India has a rich history of Indian classical music and Indian classical dance. All of you know of Ravi Shankar, right? So Ravi Shankar was a North Indian sitarist. He used to sing beautifully. He originally started dancing.
Oh, really?
That was his original calling in his brother's dance troupe. And so Uday Shankar had Nurarev dance in his performances and his composition. It was like amazing, his older brother. And then
Wait. Will you go back to music for 1 minute?
Yes.
So Western classical music doesn't acknowledge the richness of what you're telling us about Indian classical music at all.
Unless you have people like George, oh my God, the Beatles, George Harrison, or others that are tuned in
that
and
branch
have
but people who study classical music here,
No.
until you get probably very high up, They don't
they don't
acknowledge
know.
Indian
They don't.
recipes.
They no awareness either of that. And so that's, and it's very it's not. It is scientific. It's based on written treaties that are at least 1,500 years old. There are notes. It's called the Natya Shastra that gives the guidance on what the note should be and how it should be done. And that also includes the dance forms. What they're actually, we call them mudras. They are hand gestures that have meaning. So, for example, this, right? This is like a peacock, like a little face, right? This is a face and those are feathers, right? So that's a peacock. Or you could have this one. That means like this, just the thumb up. This could be, I'm confident, I'm a king, right? It's like just that. So you would do this, right? Do this, and that would be showing like I'm a royal person or I'm someone that manages people. So there are lots and lots of things like that that are written years ago based on theory and scientific things. And so I can actually do a session for music if you guys want some time on Indian classical music.
We love it.
And then I've spoken of languages, I've spoken of, and dress. So color. So it's interesting that saris seem to be the one single piece of cloth that people wear. But there are different kinds of saris and different ways of wearing them in different parts of India. So the Western India, Bombay and all that have 9 yards of sari, and it comes between their legs and comes up and goes inside. So it's much, much more easier to sit on a bike or anything like that. North India doesn't have the thing that goes around. It's 6 yards, but it's just wrapped around and then comes over the shoulder. Eastern India, Bengal, instead of going over the left shoulder, it comes over the right shoulder in front. So there are just these little nuances that oh, that person's from Calcutta. Oh, this person's from South India. So it's like very interesting how diverse the country is, even though it's like one country. So it's
Really
interesting.
is interesting.
My soup looks like it's done. Alexa, how much time left on my timer? Oh, okay. I guess I forgot to. Have we been talking for 15 minutes? What do you think? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to add my coconut milk in here. Thank you. I'm going to use the spoon to scoop out anything over here. That looks good. So when I went, I already had 1 can of coconut milk at home. So when I picked up 2 more, I picked up the light coconut milk. If you want to do that, you can do that. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's okay. No worries. That's it.
I have the same thing. I was going to ask you.
Yeah, you did the same thing. Yep.
I did.
And you can just cook it a little bit more longer to let it thicken, right? If you think it's too thin, then you just thicken it by just letting it simmer a little bit longer. That's it. You don't need to add anything more to it. This looks like it's done. This is the thick soup, the thick juice, whatever milk, coconut milk. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to do something very typical of Indian household. We don't waste anything at all. I'm going to take the nice big ladle that was presented to me by Deb and team, take some of this, put it into the can of coconut milk, turn it around. It's nice and hot. Melt some of that stuff.
I must have some kind of Indian background that I didn't know about.
Never waste anything, right? Okay. I think that looks amazing. It turned out better than I thought it would. Okay. I don't like the sound of metal on metal, which is why I use these silicone thingies. You want to try some? No, it's behind me. Hold on. I'll give you a tiny bit. Yeah. I have soup spoons on the left. Okay. Now, I was going to give it to you in a little bowl if you want. No?
I'll just do this.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Let me know if the salt and other things are okay. Yeah, absolutely.
It's great.
It's great.
It tastes so much more chicken. Oh, you use chicken broth. I use vegetable broth.
Ah.
No, I did. I don't remember.
Is it too chickeny? Should I have
No.
gone with vegetable broth?
No, it's delicious. I'm just thinking about salt. I think it's perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm gonna clean this off and eat that.
yeah. I have a spoon here. I have a spoon here. Excellent. It looks beautiful. It's the
You can bring
color
it
is so
online
good.
before you eat it.
Yes, yes, exactly. Oh, that's another thing. If you think the salt is too much in your food, or lime, lemon, pinch of sugar, a potato, a boiled potato, they always help reduce the salt. I like it. I think it can use a little bit more
You want
salt.
salt?
Uh-huh. What do you think? Although my mother always says that when it's hot, it tastes less salty. When it cools down, it'll be
Tastes
saltier.
saltier? Then
Yeah,
maybe
so
don't.
yeah, we'll
Maybe
leave it
with
there.
salt.
Okay.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Deb, I have a quick
It has
question.
got the kick.
It's
Yes,
Deb,
Deb, for you.
did you hear anything from Vered? What's happening with her? Is she coming back? Is she-
no, Marge, I'll post it when we know anything, okay?
Okay, that's fine. I didn't know if she was still in Israel. I didn't know what had happened because I wanted to tell my daughter since she knows her and I didn't have any update. Okay, let me know when it happens. If
Absolutely,
nothing else,
will
we can
do.
always make if nothing else, we can always make that jalapeno matzo ball soup.
No, I have an exciting announcement to share. Alexa is going to be cooking a Turkish red lentil soup with us next Monday. And so we'll be talking
Good.
about turkey because
Good.
Alexa is very familiar with turkey, and you'll have to cook soup with us next week to find out more about that. And maybe we'll talk about ways that we can help with the recovery effort that's going on there. So I hope you guys will join us. Thank you, Alexa, for bringing us to Turkey next week. And if everybody feels like they're good, we'll sign off and wish you all a great week. Everybody good? Okay, Shubhra, thank you so
Shubhra, so
very
much.
much. This was so special. The
My
soup is delicious.
pleasure.
I feel like I've learned so much that I didn't know before, and it was really fun. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Now I have a few different things to send you. I have to tell
Many
you about the
thanks.
Indian dance at Kennedy Center. I have to send you a picture of the Nutrella, which is the soy granules that you can
Yes.
use. And then Indian classical music whenever we
I
get the
would
chance.
love that. Okay, I'm sending her with homework. All right, take care, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.